Hello, this is Suyu Asui from Class 1A in My Hero Academia, and you're listening to the Zero Cred Podcast. Here are your hosts, Brian, Lauren, and John. Have fun. Ribbit Plus Ultra.
I want to throw a huge shout out to Monica Rial for recording that intro for us. Thank you very much. That's very awesome. And we are going to be talking about Shazam.
Are we?
I think so.
Oh, really?
The movie.
Yeah.
The movie, not the
Character?
not movie.
Well, both.
I'm confused.
Okay.
So we all went and saw Shazam. Some of us earlier than others, but
Not together.
We did all see Shazam this weekend. Warren, what's your thoughts, bud?
It was good. I enjoyed it. I had fun. It's a nice bright spot in the DCEU for me. We got our quote unquote comedian or comedic character,
Right.
who will probably be a lot of the comic relief whenever we get more team up movies. So I was cool with it. I was happy with how they did it. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's gonna be too childish," and I was like, "Well, then you don't know the character because he's not an adult."
He is.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
He's gonna
14,
be
right?
He's gonna be a kid.
I think he's 15.
15, 14? Okay.
The point is that they
Just corrected you with wrong information. I think he's 15, Brian. I think that's what they said in the movie, but
I
could have been 14.
I saw it so long ago.
Oh my god. I'm quitting. This is the day I quit.
But yeah, I just thought that they captured the essence of that character, and I don't think it was too. I don't think they tried too hard to be like, oh, he's a kid. Like they were like, he's just a kid. Some of the stuff he didn't take as serious as he should have.
Yeah.
Until he was like, everybody's gonna die if I don't get my life together.
I like
So,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a.
Okay. Yeah. I'm right there with you. I really enjoyed it a lot. My favorite aspect of the movie was actually the family element, because it had a really good message. You know, finding family when you don't have family, and finding family where there's opportunity to find it.
Right.
And it tugged on the heartstrings a little bit. You know,
Yeah, I one of my complaints, I guess, is I wish there was more of that.
Yeah.
Because I felt like it wasn't on the back burner, but sometimes I was like, oh, this is fun stuff. Like, this is cool that how they're explaining this stuff. I wish there was more of it. And then we'd go to him like, trying to fly in a warehouse. I'm like, well, this is cool, but let's go back to the family.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. But yeah, I did. I enjoyed the movie a lot. I saw it forever ago.
Did you guys see it last weekend or 2 weekends?
2 weeks.
Oh,
Yeah, it was like the 20 something.
Yeah. Warren and I got to go to a sneak preview of it. John wasn't able to make it. But
Speaking of that, I like what the movie theater did. I don't know if it was on purpose, but I thought it was really cool play on the name of the character, because when we got there, they were like, "Oh, it's in Theater 7." And we got to Theater 7, and I was like, this doesn't say Shazam. This says Captain Marvel.
right, yeah.
And then I was like, I got it. This is Captain Marvel from the Marvel movie, but his name was Captain Marvel at one point.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was like,
Yeah.
I wonder if they did that on purpose. Because it was,
I don't know. It's a
but
good
I don't
question.
think it was. I think they just weren't. They didn't want people to like know that it was a Shazam showing, so they just
Right.
put something else up there.
That's probably what it was.
At the same time, it's a confusing situation because, like, if you Google the movie and you pull up, and how Google has, like, it'll pull up the movie and then it pulls up the actors at the bottom, and you can, like, scroll right to go through the actors. It has, I don't know the guy that plays Shazam, the older guy. I can't remember his name.
It was Jimon Honsu, wasn't it?
It has his picture, and underneath it says Captain Marvel as his character.
Oh,
he's
yeah,
playing.
yeah.
And so it's like, nobody knows what to say. Like, do we call
I didn't
him
notice
Shazam?
that. I didn't even
Call
look.
him Captain Marvel. It's just kind of a weird.
I mean, that's not wrong.
No, it's not.
And so obviously they weren't going to be like, it's a Shazam movie.
Right.
But I just was wondering if they did that on purpose or if that was just an accident.
I'm pretty sure that was Jimon Honsu that played that character. The guy from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, he was in it.
Yeah, I think that was him.
Jimon Honsu,
Yeah.
Shazam. See, here it says Shazam.
You got a broke phone, John.
No, it probably did say
No.
Captain Marvel
I thought
initially,
it
and they probably...
No, we're all talking about the wrong guy. The actual guy that is Shazam in the movie.
Okay,
Oh,
well, that's
Zachary
Zachary
Levi.
Levi.
Zachary
it
Levi.
does say
Yeah.
Captain Marvel under
Yeah.
his name.
Oh, does
Yeah.
it? Oh, okay. Never looked.
Yeah, not
Not the old
I
guy.
know, yeah,
Not
I
the
know.
ancient guy.
It also says
He also-
Captain Marvel under Asher Angel, who plays Billy Batson.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why it doesn't say Billy Batson.
Uh,
It also says Captain Marvel under Jack Dylan Grazer. I don't know what's happening.
It just says that they played in Captain Marvel, but they didn't play in Captain Marvel.
It
They played
also
in Shazam.
says-
This is a confusing
It
review.
also says Dr. Captain Marvel under Mark Strunk. No, I'm kidding. But
Oh goodness.
well, let's
Yeah, let's get into it.
let's get into it. Things
we
we
go on full spoilers right now.
no. Let's talk. Let's just quick little spoiler free.
Yeah, spoiler free. We can get into spoilers a little later. I liked all the performances myself. I didn't really think there was a weak portrayal in the movie personally. Everybody was on point. The Zach Dylan Glazier, is that his name, or Grazier?
Zach Dylan.
Yeah, that kid. Golly, I'm so unprepared.
That kid.
He was awesome. He was really funny. I liked him a lot, and he plays in It, also the movie It, and he was great in that movie too. He's really funny. I liked his relationship with Billy in the movie. He was like kind of forcing himself on him as a friend. He's like, motherfucker, you're going to have a friend, and it's going to be me. But yeah, he was really funny in the movie. I liked him a lot.
Yeah, I thought the chemistry between him and both versions of Shazam, Zachary Levi and Asher
absolutely.
Angel, I thought that was a very good dynamic. And I also really enjoyed the way Zachary portrayed being an adult.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or a kid in an adult's body. Because he didn't oversell the mannerisms, but he definitely was like, yo, I'm still a kid. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was done really well, and I think overall everybody's role in the movie was good. I don't think they tried to do too much with anybody.
Yeah.
like you guys touched on, they probably could have done more with some people. But the dynamic of the family and him not wanting a family was really good. I really liked the dad.
Yeah, he was great.
I really enjoyed him, Cooper Andrews as Victor Vasquez. He was really good. I thought he was really fun. Like, I was like, man, yeah, if I was a foster kid, I'd want him as my dad. 'Cause
Right.
He's like,
Right?
he's like, hey, like, just chill out, have a good time. Everybody's here. And the mom's like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Like all the time. And I was like, no, just relax. But I thought it was good. I thought it was very fun. I thought a lot of the action was good in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought even some of the CGI was really good too.
Yeah.
I was
CGI
kind of
very
surprised
impressive.
by that.
Yeah, the effects were top notch in this.
But I thought the storytelling was actually pretty good too. I didn't know how convoluted they were going to get.
I think that they took the right approach when it came to the story, because the story in and of itself is pretty simple, really. And I think that's because when you get into a character like Shazam, who's got such a unique origin and such a unique past, you can get really muddy because he's been around a long time. He was created very shortly after Superman. So that's how long he's been around. He's one of the oldest superheroes. And I believe they took the New 52 origin aspect and they rolled with that. And I think that was the smartest thing to do. It seems to be the less convoluted of the origins. But yeah, they took a pretty simple story and they added just enough cool elements to it to make it not feel really simple and really run of the mill.
Yeah, I completely agree. It didn't feel like it was too big, because he's not Superman. He's not
Right.
that, Superman always has to have the biggest movie going down, the biggest event, saving the whole entire world. Or it felt like Shazam was just kind of saving the block that he lived on. Like, it was a threat to the world, but it was like he's saving a carnival, really.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
But it didn't feel like it was bigger than it needed to be or smaller than it wasn't too small at the same time.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, well, do we want to give it like a little quick rating so the people that haven't seen it?
Oh, absolutely.
If they want to go see it or
man, myself, I'm rolling strong 8. Like, I liked it that much. I liked it more than I liked Aquaman. I liked it more than Captain Marvel. A strong 8, almost 9 for me. I really, like I said, I can't find a whole lot that I didn't like about the movie. I think the weakest thing in the movie, if I had to pick something, would be the villain. But he wasn't that bad. Like, he wasn't a bad villain. Bad. And I mean, especially when you got Mark Strong, who's fantastic. He's a wonderful actor. He played it just hammy enough and not too over the top. But so if I had to pick a weak thing, it would probably be the villain. But I'm just grasping at straws, honestly, because I truly enjoyed almost every aspect of this movie. But I will say that I would have maybe liked just a little more action. I think they focused a whole lot on him goofing around with his powers a lot as a kid. But I think that's normal, so it's hard to take a point away, considering that's probably what a child would do if they were suddenly a superhero, And he was goofing around, with his powers, making money, on the side of the road, people, tip me, and he's got the lightning flashing and he's acting like a horse's ass. But I think that's what he would do. So I'm rolling 9. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Yeah.
I'll go with a 7.5.
Oh, wow.
I didn't hate it, obviously, but I enjoyed it. But to me, I put it, because we have now had some great DC movies. They had some bad ones, and they had 2 good ones, not back to back.
One incredibly good one.
We had Wonder Woman and then Aquaman. And then to me, this one was kind of like in the Ant-Man, Doctor Strange era of the Marvel movies, where it's like, here's a character that not everybody knows is all about, and we're going to make a decent, cool movie about it. And it's not going to be the biggest movie ever, but it's not going to be a bad movie, and that's where I kind of place it. It's just here's an origin story of a character that you may or may not know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with an 8.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it an 8. I'm with John. I think it's in the middle between Wonder Woman and Aquaman. I thought it was better than Aquaman, but not as captivating as Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman had a lot of action that I was like, oh snap! And then this was like, some of the stuff was just like, okay, like he's learning his powers, and that's cool, which is what you want. I do agree. I do feel like they focused so much on him kind of being a kid with powers that we didn't get as much action as we would have liked. But I think they also tried to go a different route with giving us the action, and so I'll touch on that later.
Okay.
So I kind of understood why they went the way they went. Because essentially it was a lot like what John talks about all the time, which was they didn't have to have a clutch where he was just like, oh snap, I can fly, I can do this. Like he was like learning all that stuff as he went along, and then when you got to the end, you believed he could actually fight this guy now. So I'm gonna give it an 8. I thought it was really good. I thought everybody was good. I thought the humor was nice. So yeah, I thought it was a very, very solid 8 for me.
Okay. Well, that's not bad. I mean, we're all dug it, a little. I like little mixed opinions here and there. All right. You're right. All right.
But yeah, if you haven't seen it, go see it, and then come back and talk about it with us.
And on that note, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna move into some spoilers.
Everybody dies at the end. No.
So, my favorite part in this movie, I was dying near the end. The supervillain speech from a mile away.
Oh, okay. That was.
Oh God.
We've never seen that before.
That was so good.
That was pretty funny.
That was so good.
Yeah.
Mark Strong goes into his supervillain speech, and they're both flying, and they're like 10 blocks away from each other, and he's talking, and all of a sudden it pans over to Zachary Levi, and you could barely hear me. He's just like, what? Are you saying something?
He's like, yeah, you're like a mile away. There's trucks. I
And
can't
he
hear
went
you.
through that whole speech, just talking shit. Like I'm gonna destroy our family, and he's just going. He's like, I can't hear you.
It was very. I thought it was cut very well too, because they didn't like just stay on him and then cut to Shazam, and then he's just like, I can't hear you, and then that was it. Funny moment, and then they ended like it kept constantly like he would come back, and every time he would go back to Mark Strong, he's on like another part of it. He's like, and your family will bleed, and then it comes back to Zach, and he's like, what? Like, okay, we're like 10 blocks away, dude. Like, I can't hear you. And so I like that they kind of broke the fourth wall, because I know superhero fans all across the world always probably are like, no, like they really can't. There's no way. Like Superman, I got it. He's got super hearing. Like if Zod wanted to give a speech from that far away, he would just listen. But you know, realistically, I can't hear you. Like I don't know what's happening. You could be trying to tell me this code to your safe. I don't know. But I like how he didn't just be like fly over to him and be like, hey, I didn't hear you. Like, can you say that again? Like he was just like, you know what? Screw it. And then they went to go fight him. So that was really good.
Yeah, I feel like
funny.
most movies would have got them like you'd been like, I can't hear you, and then they would have flown closer, and the villain would have been like, ugh, and then he just restarts. But they were like, no, they just didn't hear it. Now they're gonna fight more. And so that was a nice.
But it was, and I think the nice play on it was because he was like, yeah, he's probably doing like one of those speeches that they do in the comic books. I'm just gonna go fight him now.
Right.
Like I don't need to hear it. So that was really good.
One of my favorite. It's a small aspect of the movie, but it was one of my favorite aspects in Logan, where these superheroes are real in their universe, but they treat them as how we treat superheroes, where they're comic books, toys, all sorts of things. And so there's that scene where they're first fighting, and he throws a giant Batman doll. He's like, "Go Batman!" He just throws them because they treat their real superheroes how we treat comic book superheroes, where they're just, some people might not even believe them. They're just a fictional toy that they have, a Batman toy or a Superman toy. And same thing in like Logan, where they have like the comics of the X-Men that were real, but they made them into comics.
Right.
And I just like that, those small little kind of connecting, because really that's the only, other than a scene at the end, those are the only connective tissues to the rest of the DCEU or whatever, is the Batarang and the Superman bullet and the Batman doll that he throws at him. Like, why?
Get him, Batman!
Well, it was nice, even though we saw that in one of the trailers.
Right.
It still hit home for me because he picks him up and he's like, "I'm Batman." And he's like, "Get him, Batman!"
Right. And it looked like the style of that doll looked like the animated series
with the
Batman.
yellow
And
logo
so
and all
that
that.
was kind of cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. I enjoyed also the experimentation and how I can't remember the brother's name, the character itself. The Jack Dylan
Jack
character.
Dylan Grazer.
Yeah, I can't remember his character's name.
Freddie.
I think it's Freddie.
Yeah.
I like how he would always be like, all right, we're gonna test your super strength, but he was really testing something else.
Yeah.
And he was like, heat vision, no.
He's like, we're gonna test some teleportation, and he just catches him on fire.
Yeah.
Just like,
I was like, oh my god. Like,
this is just my own, like Brian said, picking it apart because there's not a lot wrong with it. When he gets shot and the brother goes, "You have bullet immunity." I'm like, that's not how you say that. Bullet immunity. I'm like, bulletproof. There's a word. We already have a word for it. Bullet immunity. You're not immune to bullets. It's not a disease.
I mean, I get it. Kind of is.
Yeah, I know. I can tell you right now, when a bullet gets in me, something bad gonna happen. So I'm not.
But I like the because then he's like, well, we don't know if it's the suit or if it's your
Like,
face.
just shoot him in the
Shoot him in the
face.
face. And then he was like, yeah, wait a minute. I don't want to get... And then they shot him in the face and he was fine. Yeah. It was cool. But I understand that.
Do we want to talk about any plot points?
Okay, I do.
Want to give a synopsis? kind of.
Are you just asking him questions?
I'm just gonna keep asking him questions until we've got an hour and 15 minutes of recording.
Okay. Well, this is kind of a intro synopsis. I didn't like the intro.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, it started up, and I was just like super confused.
Okay.
And I feel like that it's okay to be confused because you get the answers throughout the movie. But I'm watching it, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But
It kicked off with Mark Stroman's character, right?
yeah, as a kid. And I was just like, this is weird. Where's Zachary Levi? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, where's
I think
Billy
I can
Bags?
kind of understand what you're saying,
But
honestly.
I mean,
can see where you're coming
but at
from.
the same time, I don't know what else they would have done different.
Yeah.
So that's just me picking it apart, like we've
I,
already said.
I can kind of understand, and I actually I didn't have a problem with the intro itself, but I will say this kind of goes into me thinking that the villain was kind of one of the weaker aspects of the movie because they waste the whole intro on introducing us to the villain as a kid, and then we hear nothing about what happened in between that time
Right.
and now.
Yeah.
And he's like in his probably mid to late 40s, something like that. You know, big. I guess he's a big businessman. Well, he's a scientist or some shit, isn't he? I can't remember. It didn't even really honestly explain what he is.
Yeah.
I mean, he basically was just
He's been his whole life
holding
looking-
these organized tests and whatnot.
Yeah, he was
trying to
he was
figure out,
trying
he
to
was
find out.
find the code to that door and get back to where he was
Yeah.
after he was a kid. Yeah, he was just a fun.
And his dad was Lex Luthor's dad from Smallville.
Weird connection
yeah,
there.
yeah, the guy that played Lex Luthor's dad.
It's
in Smallville
weird.
was that guy.
It's weird that the dad in the car didn't look very much didn't
Didn't look much older.
40 years later, 30 years later, didn't look that much older than
No,
he did
not
in
at
the
all.
car.
Yeah,
but
not at all.
yeah,
he
that
aged
was-
really well.
Yeah.
He aged really well.
I mean, I guess
hope I look that good when I'm 70.
right, probably 70. The other thing with the villain, and I mean, I guess we could break it apart and really figure it out, but they kind of got their powers at the same time,
Yeah, kind of.
but he just knew how to do it.
Well, he had been studying it for years.
Yeah, but he got the powers and he just was able to.
And honestly, the power wasn't his power.
And that's what
Yeah,
I was
I think
thinking.
that's
Like,
kinda
I
part
think
of it.
I think to an extent,
The sins
it was
were
the sins
able
were
to-
doing
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So,
and
you
that's
know,
where you have to think about it and we have to talk about it because that's
Right.
our
because I would
jobs.
imagine they were in the, they were in his head like, stick your hand out. And he was like, what? Bzzz, that, and he was like, oh, I can do that.
Right.
And then like Shazam's like, I don't know how to do this. My help disappeared. Like,
Right.
But I think they want you to have that to set up the story and how he has to grow. But I can understand that. But they also did a really good job, I think, of hiding the fact that he did not actually have powers.
Right.
And they basically told you at the beginning, because every time the sins left his body, his eye would change.
Right.
I caught on that like immediately. Like I was like, oh,
I did not.
I was
I
like,
did not.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So does he still have powers? Does he not have powers? Like, what can he do? But he was still super strong, so I couldn't figure that out till the end when they explained why he was still able to do stuff while all the sins were out, which was a very just explanation. Like I was totally okay with it, but like I was actually surprised at how deep they went into making him a villain, because when he goes into that office meeting and they just shred
yeah,
all
we
those
gotta,
people.
I want to talk about that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
was like, I couldn't believe
Yeah.
they were even doing it.
It got pretty dark.
Like I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that was a pretty dark.
I
moment.
thought this was gonna be,
Yeah.
and then they were like, "Nah, son, this is real intense right
That
now."
was,
Yeah.
it was
The
pretty dope.
the other than like obviously like the end of it where they're all like up against the glass and they just are like screaming for help and they get taken out, but him just throwing his brother out a fucking window, I was like, what the hell? That's insane. That blew me away. That was like the first moment I was like, okay, this is a real movie. Like he just throws his brother out a window and then lets a monster eat his dad.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
pretty
and,
dope.
he let monsters just eat everybody. Like that lady tried to leave, and then monster was just like, "Hey, what's up?" And then it picked her up, and then it ate her head,
Yeah.
or somebody ate somebody's head, and
I think it ate a guy. Yeah,
ate
a
a
guy's
guy's
head.
head,
Yeah.
and then threw him out the window.
Yeah.
And I was like,
It is a DC property.
David, cover your eyes.
Right.
Like, you don't want to see
Yeah.
this.
This is
But that
Not
was
a kid's
crazy.
movie.
And so I was like, well, at least he feels like a villain. Like a lot of times we have villains in superhero movies that don't do villainous stuff.
They just tell you that they're bad people, and then you're like, hey, fight this guy, he's bad.
Well, like,
They showed you that this guy was bad.
yeah, well, and also like because it's always like they're bad because of their agenda,
Yeah.
which is like that's fine, but like it's also a situation of like, well, the superhero has an agenda, so how do we know they're not wrong?
Right.
Like, it's a matter of perspective. But when he kills a whole room of people, I think your perspective is wrong.
Right.
So now I can go, all right, yeah, that's a bad guy. So I thought they did that very well, and I thought that scene was like really set the tone for his character.
I compare it to Doc Ock's scene in Spider-Man 2.
That's a really good comparison.
Yeah, when they're about to cut his arms off.
Right.
And that it's like a horror scene out of like a 90s horror movie, and you're just like, holy crap, like that was insane. Yeah, very similar
Once
tones.
again, another reason why that is just one of the best superhero movies ever.
Shout out to Spider-Man 2.
Absolutely. Love that movie.
I'm gonna make it my mission. I'm gonna make it my mission to shout out Spider-Man 2 on every podcast.
I'm backing you. I'm down.
And I'm gonna make it my mission to cut it out every time.
Damn producers.
No, but yeah, I thought that was good. Another part of the movie that I really thought was enjoyable was the dynamic with his family.
Yeah.
Especially the intro to all of the people that live there.
That was great.
I thought that was really good.
They did a good job of summing up everybody's little personalities and little idiosyncrasies and just like maybe a 10-minute little scene. Just bam, 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 bam. You meet everybody and you're like, oh, okay. This guy's a video game one, you know.
Yeah.
The little girls who was ridiculously adorable.
Yep.
And great, too. I thought she was a really good actress, too. I was like, that was crazy. Like, I was like, she's
wonderful.
really nailing this role.
So I've brought this up before, especially when we were talking about Daredevil, about the kid that at the very beginning, the kid that played the villain at the very beginning in the car,
Right.
and then we get what's his name, the actual villain actor,
Mark Strong.
To me, I don't see that kid as that guy.
Oh,
you know,
okay. I can understand.
but that's just one character. Every one of the adult actors for the kids at the end of the movie, I was like, that's that person growing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that blew my mind.
They
That
did a
they
good
nailed
job,
every single one of those.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and talk about that part.
Yeah, that was the... I wasn't expecting that.
I wasn't expecting them to do that. I
They
knew that
did
was
pull
something
that off.
they did in the comic books, and they did it really well. And we'll go ahead and explain it for you guys. Near the end of the movie, in the final act, Shazam pretty much realizes that he can't beat all of these entities by himself.
All the sins.
All the sins. There's, Mark Strong has got all the 7 sins that represent, greed, gluttony, sloth, and all of that. They're basically living in his fucking eyeball. And he unleashes 6 of them in this carnival, and he can't fight them all by himself, and he realizes that he needs help, and he's able to use the staff that Shazam, the old Shazam, was holding, and he has all of his family hold it, and they all say Shazam, and he's got 6 little Shazams running around now, and it's badass. And that's from the comic books. It's actually it's 7 of them. There's 7 of them, so there's still 1 spot left.
Yeah,
and
which is interesting because he broke the staff.
Yeah, he broke the staff. Yes.
So I was like, how are we gonna get the other one?
Right. I thought because I noticed I was like, wait a minute, why did he break? Motherfucker, you done fucked yourself.
Yeah,
but
plot holes.
But yeah, like all the kids growing up, like the little girl was all super fast, and she was like, "Oh my god, I'm fast!" It was really cool.
He shot like a lightning thing at the enemy, and then she ran away. And she was like, "You almost exploded me."
Yeah, I like the way she said that. Yeah, it was really good. And the kid that threw the thing, he went Hadouken.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, but I wasn't expecting to get the family.
I wasn't expecting to get the whole family
because it happened. And I was like, wow,
Yeah,
they
that
did
was
it.
Surprising, but
And
they pulled it off well. Like it didn't feel forced upon us by any means because they did such a good job emphasizing that this was a movie about family and about finding your family when you don't have one, and that it felt natural to progress towards that because they had done such a good job developing that throughout the movie.
Right. Yeah, I definitely. it was good on them for not showing anything from that final act in any trailer.
Yeah,
because
exactly,
that was really
yeah.
a complete shock to me when they all became Shazams.
And we all know they can ruin some good movies
Yeah,
with
right,
just
right.
showing you too much in a
Yeah,
trailer.
that whole end sequence was really good. Actually.
It was good. It was
So
fun.
there was definitely payoff.
My
for me.
favorite, your favorite bit was the flying.
supervillain speech.
Yeah, my favorite bit was when he was gonna put the eye in himself, and everybody's like freaking out, and he's like, "Nah, I gotcha." Like I knew when he was doing, I'm like, "This is a."
put an evil eye in my head.
I knew it was a joke from the get go, and I was like, "I like this joke.
Yeah, it was cool.
I'm gonna sit through and enjoy this whole joke."
Yeah, that was really good. One of my favorites was actually when he ran into his sister. While he was Shazam. And then he was like, "My super intelligence was telling me that you live in a foster home," and it was like, no, that's not how.
That's not how any
That's
of
Can
this
we
Well-
works.
just say real quickly that he legit saved her life?
Right. That wasn't, and they
She
were
was
just like,
gonna get smeared by a fucking, what was it? It was a snow truck with a big old
Maybe,
blade
yeah,
on it?
something, yeah.
Like he legit saved her life, man. Oh
and
my
they just
God.
had a conversation, like it was all good.
How you doing?
Right.
Yeah, but I thought that was a really good dynamic. I thought it tied up a lot of loose ends too, because we would have been like, well, how they're, because we knew they were going to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I was like, don't do it, stupid. Like, oh, they saw the thing with him and Freddie,
Right.
and I was like, but that wouldn't mean that it was Billy. But then she was like, he saved me. He knew my name. He knew all of this stuff about me. Oh my God.
Right. Yeah.
And then I like how
it makes sense because she is the college student.
yeah, but I also because let's jump back to when he first comes back home, and then they ended up having to go into the little girl's room.
And she knew.
And she was like, "Okay, I'll be a big sister. I won't tell anything." And then when they figure it out, and then she was like, "Oh my God, you guys all figured it out!"
Yeah, that was
an
an easy. They did it a couple times where they planted something where you're like, oh, this is gonna go like this, but then it doesn't. Because
Yeah.
when you see that, they're like, oh, the sister's gonna
tell.
tell it at some point.
Yeah.
But
But
then,
she
like you
did.
said, yeah, she kept it in, and when they figured it out, and she's like, oh, finally, like
Yeah, but she did tell because they hadn't figured it out. That's the irony in the whole situation. Because she was like, "You guys figured it out," and they were like, "We didn't figure anything out. We were assuming it was him. We had no proof that he was Shazam."
I mean, they were there.
Yeah,
Just give him that extra nudge.
but it was
She just
but-
confirmed.
But I just thought that was a good way to do it because it's like you still got her telling, but they were basically.
But it wasn't like she didn't spill the beans on the
And they-
accident.
yeah.
talking to like the
Yeah, in
parents
the middle of a fucking
Right.
family dinner.
Right.
Like, where's Billy? Oh, he's
Right.
probably
Yeah, right. He's probably
Speaking-
saving the world.
Speaking of family dinner, I thought it was really cool because I like rhyming. That they every time they would do the prayer, it was always like a rhyme.
Right.
Thank you for this food for this day. I'm Shazam. I'm gonna fly away. Like it was always just something really cool. I thought that was really neat. I'm gonna steal that and use that
There you go.
in my life. But I wanted to touch on one of the more intense segments in the movie or scenes in the movie, which happened at a family dinner, which was when they were discussing Shazam as a hero. If he was a good hero, a vigilante, should he be doing things?
Right, yeah.
And I thought that was a really good moment of them getting kind of serious
Right.
and then having Billy and Freddie kind of go at it
Yep.
and give their own perspectives. And because their relationship was very interesting because at one point Freddie kind of became like the user. Like he was like, I'm
Little bit,
using
yeah.
you because you have these powers.
Right.
And then Billy's like, well, it's not about you. Like I have these powers, not you. And so I thought that was a really interesting dynamic because even though they're kids, that's still something that would actually come
Yeah.
up, whether
Yeah,
you're an
absolutely.
adult or a teenager or whatever. That's going to become an issue. We deal with it in everyday life with people who have things that other people want, and then you like try to live through them or take advantage of what they have. So I just thought it was really interesting.
And with that situation, they displayed it in a way where neither of them were right or wrong. You understood both the characters' point of
Right,
views. You have a
exactly,
kid
yeah.
who has a limp, and his brother now has superpowers, and he wants to live through his brother. But then you have the brother who has superpowers, and he's like, "Let me just do my thing." Like,
Yeah.
I don't want them.
right.
Like,
He's like, some weird guy in the subway gave these to me. I don't know what to do.
Subway.
So I thought that was really cool. I thought that was an interesting dynamic. I thought it did a lot of character growth there too.
Right.
Might as well talk about his relationship with his mom now.
Yeah, that's
That
what I
was
wanting to-
that was heavy.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that either. I thought it was gonna be another like, oh, it's my mom. Like,
Yeah,
yay.
I love the way they. Oh, I didn't love the way because it kind of was shitty, but well, let's talk about it because for obviously, if you've seen the movie, you know that Billy was kind of he got lost at a carnival when he was very young. I think he was 4, and nobody came looking for him. Cop found him, and they nobody came to find him, so he ends up in foster homes for like 10 years. And he's been on a mission to try and find his mom ever since. And he's honestly going about it some very strange ways.
Right, right.
Stealing cop cars almost and all that shit.
Locking
But,
cops in a pawn shop.
Yeah.
and
Taking
using
their lunch.
Right.
Yeah. But he finally finds his mom.
Right.
And it's one of those moments when you're watching a movie, you're like, oh, wow, it's going to be like a really... heartwarming moment where they're going to see each other and be like, oh my God, I love you. And they're going to hug and they're going to embrace. And there was like none
Not even
of
a
that
little
whatsoever because she was like, look, it was just too much for me. I was 17. I saw the cop with you. I figured you were safer with him than you were with me. And I am not ready for that. I'm still not ready for it in my life, but you look good. And I was like, oh my God. I was like legit almost crying because I was like, because I'm a father.
Yeah.
And I was like, I couldn't imagine saying something like that to my kids.
And
I was like, bitch. I just wanted to slap the shit out of her. But, I mean, at the same time, you're like, well, I guess she knew. She knows what she's capable of doing. And obviously, he's better off without somebody that doesn't want him.
Yeah.
And it sucks. True. It was really sad. I was like, oh my God, I felt terrible for him. But that was a really, really that's the moment where it's like it was really pulling on my heartstrings. I was
one
like,
of the plot holes that I guess I had a slight problem with was how he got lost, because you can't just go to like a carnival and lose your son and be like, oh, I'm gonna go home, I guess. If they find your son and they have the name, they'll come find you and be like, hey, you lost your son at a carnival. You're a bad mom.
Yeah.
But and like something would have happened, and then I guess she could have put him up for adoption or something. But
I guess I don't know. I guess my only pushback on that would be that maybe he didn't have her last name. Did they say he had her last name?
He didn't have her first name,
but
I don't think.
I guess my thing is when a kid is found, they don't just be like, oh, we found you. I guess you're going to go into foster care now.
Oh, yeah.
No, they find your parent. They do everything they can to find your parents. They don't be like, we're going to put you into an orphanage. You find your mom whenever you're old enough to go find her. That's not how they do that.
Well, they probably did, I would imagine.
But I feel like if they did, they would have found her.
Well,
and then if they did,
he couldn't find her.
If they did, then she could have been like, he'd keep him. Like,
yeah,
but
he didn't. And then they only found her because the little smart kid did like a bunch of hacking, and he was like, "Well, the reason you can't find her is because she's not even under the name."
Right.
So they kind of justify why she didn't get found. I guess.
Little bit, yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
But just that when they met and she was like, yeah, I just left you. I'm like, that's not how that works.
No.
Like, there's more steps to that.
Do we want to talk about some of his growth as Shazam? Like, I thought it was cool how he had to catch the train. And then it was like, no, dog, go away, don't move. I got to put the train down. Or the bus. And then, like, I thought it was also cool when he learned how to fly. That because he picked him up and he was like, we don't have to do and that was really cool too. That whole sequence you were talking about, the Batman, where he was just trying to run from the guy,
right?
He was just chasing him down and chasing him down. I thought that was really cool. Then he learned how to fly, and then he was flying through the mall, and then the dude was still getting. And I was like, my whole thought, the only gripe I had with that entire scene, I was like, so you just forgot that you have control over electricity,
right?
You're not going to shut lights off. You're not going to shoot electricity at him. Nothing like.
Well, I think he was thinking like a 14 or 15-year-old kid running from a bad dude,
Right. I would do that as a 24-year-old.
I'm not a hero. What the hell?
I think the AC can do,
Yeah,
I thought that was cool. But he did get kind of smart. He was like, Shazam!
Yeah.
I'm out. Bye.
Right.
And that was cool.
I thought it was interesting that when he was being held underwater, saying that it didn't count.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't see why it doesn't, but okay.
I'm stuttering over agreeing with you.
Right.
Yeah. Because I thought the same thing when I was like, should it matter? I was like, should it really matter if he enunciates it perfectly?
Well, it's not even enunciated. Like, the sound's there.
The sound is there, and he is saying
but
it,
I think that's the whole premise of it, is that you have to have some kind of
something. Yeah.
Some kind of
maybe
form
the
of a kryptonite.
Shazam got maybe the magic comes from a higher entity, and the water is like, it's like he wasn't hearing it. I don't know.
Right, he's like, yeah.
Well, I think it's
I
can't hear you.
He's saying
Sounds like it.
Well, I think that's the whole premise, is that it's not clear.
Yeah.
So he's not really channeling that power. You know?
Right.
It's like Shazam.
Yeah,
It's like,
and I guess that makes sense because, I mean, in Army of Darkness, have you guys ever seen Army of Darkness?
Mm-hmm.
No? Oh, well, hell, this is going to go just out for the listeners. in Army of Darkness, when Ash needs to say the 3 words as he picks up the Necronomicon, he forgets the last one, and he's like, I can't remember the first 2 words. It's like, Katana, my leg, and then he like gets the last word. He's like, Kahana. Okay, I said the words. He
Pretty much
takes
the same,
off with the book, and shit goes awry. Like, I couldn't remember the 3 words that he needed to say though. But yeah,
but
it's hilarious.
I thought it was. I actually liked it because I was like, oh, it's not working because he's in the water.
Yeah,
and then she shoots the thing, and it doesn't hit because it stops. He turns around and stops it, but it gives him just enough time to lift his head up and go Shazam! And
right.
I was like, oh, he about to beat your ass, and then he doesn't. It like he still needs the help, but yeah, I think that's cool. I think, but that also establishes some parameters so that in future movies, if he's ever like in a point where he can't say it, and we're like, why doesn't he just say Shazam and get out of this? Like, he can't do it,
right?
Like, you know, because that was one of the big things in the comics. Like, a lot of times he would be trying to transform. Like, Black Adam would just be like, nah, son, you just put his hand on his mouth. He's like, you can't do it.
So now in this universe, do we have 6 Shazams? Is the family still them?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
I
broke
think
the staff,
so.
they didn't remove
Yeah.
their
Right.
powers.
So interesting.
And they have a layer. So
And they have a lair.
yeah.
and they were all there. So yeah, I mean, because that's the whole point, which was nice to pay off. And he's like, with my family, and the seats are waiting.
What's going to be really cool when they finally introduce Black Adam, because that's going to be the big villain for Shazam, the kind of the yin, the yang, you know, like Superman has, you know, Lex Luthor, you know, Spider-Man has, well, Spider-Man has a few.
Yeah, all of them.
But
Everybody.
Yeah, I mean, but everybody needs kind of that yin to the yang, and Black Adam is very much that. I guess Rock is playing Black Adam, and he's going to have his own movie first. And I thought that was pretty interesting that they're giving him, a villain, his own movie first.
Right.
And then introducing him into this universe, which I'm going to assume that they're going to be introducing Shazam to some of these other guys, you know, because it would make sense, you know, they can do it.
Well, they did.
So, well, yeah, at the end,
Yeah.
you know, he had all the animations where he was like with Wonder Woman and Flash.
Well,
I mean Superman.
Superman did come in. Yeah,
Yeah.
Superman shows up. They did not get Henry Cavill to play him.
I don't think. And,
But Henry's he's in like a contract dispute with him right now, I guess, is what's going on.
Right.
They haven't been able to sign him for one reason or another.
Right.
I really hope they can figure that out, because
Yeah.
he's good as Superman, man. He really is. Obviously, Ben Affleck's not going to be Batman anymore, so they're going to be recasting Batman. But yeah,
Yeah, that was kind of I had to explain to the person I went with. I was like, yeah, they didn't show Superman's head because
yeah,
we don't just they
they
couldn't.
did get a buff ass dude though.
Yeah. It might have been Henry Cavill, but they're like, we can't.
Can't
You
show
haven't
his
signed that
face,
contract yet. We can't show your
That
face.
is good. It could have possibly been,
But
I don't-
probably
I don't
not.
think it was. Yeah,
But
I think if he was there, they would have went ahead and showed.
right. That was
Big
kind
buff
of
ass motherfucker though.
that was kind of a cool little because
that was neat. At the end, he walks into the
because it's like, well, make some sort of connectivity other than dolls being thrown, and they were like, and my other friend, and I was like, who you don't have any other friends. They're all sitting at this table, and then it was Superman. I was like, oh, you made friends.
That's pretty dope.
Right.
That's pretty dope. It was. I don't really know if I got much more to talk about. It was a good movie, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Had a lot of fun watching it.
Have you guys seen that Joker trailer?
Yes.
I did
That
not watch
was
It looks cool,
interesting.
man. I think it looks fucking cool.
So the things that I watch that talk about this kind of stuff is talking about how they're just, production companies, they're just giving them like, hey, you want to make this kind of movie? Just put a comic book character in it. And that's what they're doing with this. They want to make like a psychotic thriller. They're like, well, just use the Joker in it.
Yeah,
and
I
it's
think
so
looks
it's like
fucking
it's
cool.
not a comic book movie, but it is.
It is, but it isn't. You're right. Yeah. It's like an Elseworlds story.
Right.
Like DC had the Elseworlds line.
Yeah. And so it looks interesting.
I think it looks dope. I really do.
It looks better than Jared Leto's interpretation of the Joker.
I'm not hating on Jared Leto's, but it does look better than that. It does. I know that they actually offered the role of the Joker to Joaquin Phoenix before Jared Leto, and he turned it down because he didn't want to get tied into a franchise because he likes to be able to do what he wants when he wants to do it.
Yeah.
So that tells me that this movie is going to be it, and that's it.
Yeah.
So they can do a lot with that because they have a lot of freedom because they could kill him if they want to.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I bet they do. I bet he dies at the end of the movie.
Right.
Because the way I think this movie is gonna work out is if they're gonna try and tie it into this franchise at all, or not this franchise, but the DC franchise. I think what they'll do is he's gonna be like an inspiration to a next Joker. And because Joker's got a very, very mysterious origin in the comic books. He's got a million different interpretations of where he did come from and where he didn't come from.
Right.
And I think that this is going to be, if they want to tie it into the rest of the franchises, they can just say, well, this takes place 10 years prior, and he's kind of an inspiration to the next Joker.
Right. There was always a theory that
there's not one.
Well, no. Yeah, true. But that Jared Leto's Joker was Jason Todd.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So that's always been a theory.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's been a theory. Yeah.
And I'm like, just do that. And then this can be the Joker.
Either, yeah.
This can be the Joker. Joaquin Phoenix. And like you said, at some point, maybe not in that movie, but he does do something to Jason Todd, like he does, and then he dies, and Jason Todd becomes what we see in Jared Leto's Joker.
Yeah.
But if they don't have any connection to the DCEU,
I'm fine with that too.
Yeah, it's fine. It looks dope.
What really surprises me is how gritty and raw that movie looks, and not raw, but how gritty it looks. And it's a Todd Phillips movie. The fucking Hangover trilogy, really?
Right.
Like the guy that did the Hangover trilogy is directing this movie. That it looks so out of his wheelhouse that I like that. I like seeing directors step outside of their comfort zone,
right?
Because this doesn't look like it's going to be the Hangover 4 at all.
And it's interesting because the only Joker connection, other than he wears a lot of clown makeup in the trailer, but the only Joker connection is the fact that it's called Joker.
Right?
There's no hey, this is the Joker. It's just it just looks like a guy who's going insane and he likes to put on clown makeup. But then it being called Joker, you're like, okay, this is gonna be different than what we've ever seen.
I'm really looking forward.
And there is a scene in the movie where he's grabbing a kid's face through a metal fence, and the theory is that that's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. Yeah, I've heard the same.
Warren's like, I have no idea what's going on right now.
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
Sorry, people who care about my opinion, which is all of you.
None.
I mean, from what it sounds like it's going to be pretty good.
Right.
Yeah.
We might finally get a very raw version of the Joker that we really would like to see.
Yeah.
Nothing against the ones we had before. We've had great Jokers before.
Yeah, we have.
But now it's like, oh, this is just no holds barred. This is going to happen. He's going to do some stuff, and we're going to be like, we're going to walk out kind of like, wow.
One of the comparisons that I've heard, and I completely agreed with, is that with Heath Ledger's Joker, he came off to the people around him that he was not in control of anything, and he was just kind of a wild card. But as a viewer, you're like, he has everything planned out to a T.
Yeah.
As this Joker, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, is you're actually scared of the guy himself because you have no idea what he's gonna do because he's going insane.
Yeah.
Whereas Heath Ledger's Joker wasn't insane. He was an anarchist who had everything planned out to a T.
Yeah.
Where like you could be in the same room with him and be like, that guy's kind of freaking me out. But Joaquin Phoenix, if you're in the room with him, you're like, I gotta get out of here. This guy's creeping me out.
Yeah.
With it, yeah. So that's kind of the different interpretation that we're getting with the Jokers. Which is cool because everybody's like, Heath Ledger's my only Joker. And I'm like, yeah, he is the best. And,
I agree. I think he was
let somebody else give it a try.
Yeah,
that's not Jared Leto,
man. Yeah, there's just like, see, I know I'm kind of the minority because I actually enjoy Jared Leto's.
The problem with Jared Leto's Joker is we don't have enough for him to be counted as a Joker to me.
Yeah, they cut a lot of his stuff out of that movie. He was very much a side character. Apparently, his solo movie is still scheduled to happen though. They're still gonna make his solo movie.
The craziest thing about the DCU EU is how clouded it is right now.
Oh, God.
But then they're still making decent movies. I'm like, make up your mind. Are you bad or good?
Yeah.
You're making Aquaman and Wonder Woman.
Good.
Right.
All right. Well, I guess we're pretty much good here, guys. Why don't you guys let us know what you thought about Shazam? Hit us up on Twitter at ZC_podcast. Find us on Facebook at Zero Cred Podcast. And make sure you listen on, if you're listening on iTunes, it would be great if you guys left us a 5-star review and maybe gave us a little review or a little rating and all that good stuff on there. And you can listen to us on iTunes and Spotify. I think that's pretty much all I got, guys.
Yeah, I think so. Peace.
All right. We will catch you guys on the next one.
Maybe.
Bitch.